All right. Let's see what we got today. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. People are always trying to read the motives behind your actions and to use your predictability against you. Throw in a completely inexplicable move and you put them on the defense because they do not understand you. They are unnerved, and in such a state, you can easily intimidate them. Pablo Picasso once remarked, "The best calculation is the absence of calculation." Once you have attained a certain level of recognition, others generally figure that when you do something, it's for an intelligent reason. So it's really foolish to plot out your motives too carefully in advance. You're better off acting capriciously. Humans are creatures of habit with an insatiable need to see familiarity in other people's actions. Your predictability gives them a sense of control. Turn the tables. Be deliberately unpredictable. Behavior that seems to have no consistency or purpose will keep them off balance. Scrambling your patterns on a day-to-day basis will cause a stir around you and stimulate interest. People will talk about you, ascribe motives and explanations that have nothing to do with the truth, but that keep you constantly in their minds. Daily law. In the end, the more capricious you appear, the more respect you garner. Only the terminally subordinate act in a predictable manner. Strategically reveal your human side. Interesting. That's from the 48 Laws of Power, Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Unpredictable. When you're as impulsive as I can be, I guess I have the ability to do that naturally. So, but I'm not trying to do that. I want to be right now as predictable as possible. At least in my home life. Maybe everywhere else. I could use that to my advantage, but when it comes to my home, predictability is comfort. The guy next to me drives Uber, and he's had a couple different Priuses. Today it's a brand new white one. Quite pretty. I like it. It's a good looking car. Toyota did a heck of a job with the Prius redesign. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. There's my drink. Alright, let's hit the road. Hopefully this is a nice, predictable drive. Yeah. See, that's a perfect example. You don't want unpredictability coming at you. If you choose to put that out into the world, that's another thing, because now you're controlling the predictability of you. You don't want that coming at you. Here we go. Let's see here. Give it to me. There it is. All right. On another note, just happened to text a buddy of mine last night, and I found out that they let him go from work. He made a mistake. And it was one that was worthy of termination. It's just the way it goes. Don't mess up at work. That's what I say. Right? Predictability at work. You don't want to be unpredictable at work. That's not the place for that. I mean, unless you're the owner. If you're the owner, that's the perfect position to be unpredictable. That's a little lesson right there, is cherish everything you have to the fullest extent. The things that you want to stay in your life, right? Relationships, whether they be personal or business, it's something you care deeply about and you want to keep around. You need to cherish that and protect it as much as possible. Oh, so these training documents that I've been working on, I've been trying to make a third one. And I had this gigantic prompt that I had been trying to slim down. And the whole thing started with a deep analysis of what I've already done. So just last night, I was like, you know what, let me just see what the analysis alone says. So I loaded up those files and I told it, do a deep analysis on these files and give me feedback, please. And it took a while. Finally, when it got back to me, it broke down exactly what it got from what I built. And I was kind of blown away. Because, I mean, I wasn't blown away because it was kind of my intention. What it was telling me I did, it was kind of what I intended. But the way it articulated it, particularly on one of the files that I created. Because even when I created the file, I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Because I've never heard of it kind of... it's called the way of the follower. And when it comes to dog training, you know, it's always based on the trainer training the dog or training the person. It's always from like the perspective of the human perspective. And something clicked in my mind, like, oh, that'd be interesting if it was like from the dog's perspective. Because, you know, I'm always talking about leadership and how important it is to lead by example and leader this and leader that, and, you know, always about leadership. And then it hit me like, you know what, there's very few people that are ever be in a position of leadership. The world's mostly full of followers. I mean, all of social media, it's all about following, how many followers. You know, everybody's a follower. Very few leaders. So I'm like, let me turn this dynamic around and make something from the perspective of the dog in terms of the follower. And after this thing was done doing the deep analysis, the feedback it gave me on that file, I was blown away of how that was the best one. It said, it spit out so much feedback, I can't even repeat what it said. It was a lot, but I think I kind of nailed it on all of them, especially that follower one. Because even it said it was a very unique and like rare take on the leadership perspective from the viewpoint of the follower and what is expected of a leader from a follower, and why followers follow leaders. You know, it still kind of put it in the perspective of, you know, why you should be a good leader, but what it is that it is you're doing by asking to be followed to begin with. I was pretty impressed. But after like the whole thing, you know, at the end of the analysis, it did give me like, okay, this is where you're kind of falling short. So this is what you need to kind of like punch this up a bit. And at the very end, it was like, he gave me suggestions, and I'm like, okay, so what can I do to to incorporate the suggestions that you gave. Then he gave me a couple different options on what I could do. So I went with those, and I ended up creating a fourth document, which was what I was trying to, or a third. Yeah, really a third. Final third document. Which is what I was trying to do to begin with. Like, oh, okay. So that worked out. Oh, they're doing some work. There are cones everywhere. What is going on? Have a little bit of my drink. If I can open it. They're doing all kinds of work on the freeway. Let's just get over again, because that guy's in a hurry. So now I'm even more kind of curious about, not curious, but like a little bit energized about where this is all going with what I'm making. Because at the end of this deep analysis, this isn't like a training program for dogs. This is literally a training program for humans. And the document that it made was like, it was structured in two ways, as kind of like presenting the whole idea for training when it comes to like canine training, but also for like business leadership training. And it drew like a strong parallel between the two. I haven't even really read through the whole thing yet. I just kind of scanned what it made. And I know a lot of people like, oh, well, you just made that with AI, so you didn't really do anything. I don't think people really understand what you have to put a lot into what you're giving AI to work with in order for it to come up with what I came up with. I couldn't do this in any other area of knowledge. Like if you specialize in a certain area of knowledge, you have a lot of expertise and familiarity and with nuances of this, lane of thinking and behaving and doing, then you would have a lot of input. So the more input you have when it comes to doing things with AI, the better the output. You can't just like give it a couple sentences and like, all right, it did all this. I gave it a lot. So in essence, this really is my own thing that I created. And obviously it's like sourced from other material that I've learned from. But what I brought all together Oh, that was another thing. It was especially kind of impressed with how I incorporated the Hermetic principles into it. It's very interesting. This is all building up to something, but I don't know what yet. I don't know exactly where I'm going to take this or what I'm going to do with it. But it does seem like it's something that I'm going to eventually. Seems like shop around to businesses to see if they would be interested in holding like some sort of leadership or some sort of like workshop of some sort. And that's what it always seemed like it was kind of angling at, anyways, when it came to like the whole idea of like dog training. It was like I was never really interested in training dogs. I was always more attracted to conveying to the people how important it was to be a specific way for their dog. You know, the whole leader follower thing really hit deep when I learned about all this stuff. That's what I took super serious. Like, I don't really care about the sit, down, stay, and all that stuff. I mean, that's not what's interesting to me. Like the rehabilitation is interesting. You know, taking dogs that have been ruined by people and helping fix them. That's interesting to me. That's fascinating to me. I can do that. But I have no interest in like command training. That's why I consider myself like a behaviorist more than anything else. And that's where the interest in the humans came into play, because it's like the behavior of the humans that dictate the behaviors of the dog. That's where it all starts, is with the human. That's where the phrase "wrong end of the leash." You're blaming the wrong end of the leash. It's not the dog's fault. It's the human's fault. It like that metaphor too. That's the word I keep forgetting to use. That's the word I was looking for. The metaphor of a mirror. That a dog is a mirror of the human. Just like children are mirrors of their parents. I've even told this to people when I was giving like these volunteer orientations at the rescue I was with. That's the exact phrase I would use with people. You know, they're going to show you exactly who they've been around and what they've been allowed to do or what they've not been allowed to do. That's what a dog will show you. Same thing goes for kids. You know, if your kids misbehave, that's a mirror of the work the parents did not put in. It's just a reflection of their upbringing. There is a lot of erratic movement on the road this morning. I don't want to be a part of any of it. See all this unpredictability leading into my morning. It's not normally how this traffic flow feels. Yep, you are welcome to go around. I'm not going any faster than this. So my girlfriend was probably right, because I told her I'm almost done with all these. She's like, nope, it's never going to be done. Turns out she's right. There's always more improvements to be made. That woman is so smart. I'm continually fascinated by her mind. That's the most attractive thing about her. I mean, there's much more things, but that is huge for me. That's where it seems like it's at, is when it comes to these things that I'm making. That's what seems to be very important when it comes to using AI. For anybody out there tinkering with it, is a deep analysis of whatever it is that you're doing. I know everybody seems like to be real hesitant of like what it can and cannot do. But at this point, I'm just going to embrace it, especially with the lane that I'm using it in. There's nothing it can do that I won't know that, because they're always, it could be wrong, but I'll know that. I know that. This is one thing I do know about, is when it comes to the metaphor of dogs being used, when it comes to leadership and behavior, and the follower aspect and all this stuff. This is one thing I am supremely confident in. Now I'm just going over in my mind what else I could do. So I'm thinking I should just consolidate all this into one gigantic document. And I'll always have all the 3 or 4 separate ones, but feels like there should be like one master key of a document. I guess that's really what I'm trying to do. Like I said, there's enough followers in the world. Following doesn't take much effort. And I'm looking to inspire those who have the potential for leadership to step up into that position. And that takes effort. So I guess what I'm building is not for everyone, which is okay with me. That diamond in the rough situation is always more fulfilling to find anyways. I heard that somewhere. It's like, I don't know if it was, it had to have been a movie, but it was someone that was talking to somebody else, and they're like, you ever seen what a diamond looks like? It comes out of the ground. Tells the other guy, it looks like a regular old rock. Doesn't look like anything special. It just takes a little bit of effort to be shaped into what we know as a diamond today. But that's how it starts out. It's the regular rock. They don't come out of the ground looking like how we see them. Which, now that I've said that, now I need to look up a picture of like a raw diamond, like a raw mined diamond, or any jewel really, like an emerald or a ruby. See what they look like in the rough. And I don't know if this is true either. I heard when jewelers are shaping a diamond, like the shape that it takes, I don't think the jeweler, I don't know if any of this is true. This is just what I heard, so I really have to look this up. But I'm going to say it anyways. I heard that the jeweler, when they're like chipping away to shape the diamond, like they're not actually shaping it on their own. They're finding the natural facets of the diamond, and the diamond is really shaping it itself, and the jeweler is merely revealing its natural shape. That's why I look at it under like intense, microscope, or that jeweler's lens, I guess, whatever that thing's called. And that's how a diamond gets the shape that we know it today. Every flat surface on a diamond, I think the technical term is called a facet. I have to get over again? What's happening? Why? All the trucks are getting over. I'm just going to do what they're doing. That's what I thought. This lane is fine. You guys are funny. But now I have to verify a couple of things that I said. These are things that I've heard in my lifetime. And now that I have the world at my fingertips with these phones, look all this information up. See, there's no reason to not know something nowadays. If you're not looking up the things that you think you know to verify whether or not they're true, you're doing your knowledge a disservice. Especially to make sure that the things that you think you know are wrong. That's the most important part. I want to know when I'm wrong. That's the worst feeling, thinking like something that you thought was true and ends up that's not true. I don't want to be in that position. I'm constantly looking up things to make sure I'm getting this right. Especially when I'm spreading information around, things that I hear, like podcasts and stuff. I look it up first before I tell anybody. Right, I am just about there, or here, whatever here is, in life. I guess that's it. The unpredictable. I couldn't have predicted that what I was initially thinking I was building was going to turn out to be what it is. Because in my mind, I seriously had like dogs in mind. But now my thinking's kind of shifted. Like, this is not about the dogs. This really is about the people. That's what we need. Better humans. The Kaizen, the humans need to be Kaizened. 1% better every day. Now it said it like that too. It like the use of Kaizen. So the hero's journey was a very useful and well incorporated facet of what I built. What else? And the Hermetic principles. Those were the three things that were well done. All right. I am here. Let's go to work.